almost to noon on this Wednesday, the 19th of May. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. We're live and local with guests all across the Central Valley until right around 3:30 today. I'm Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We're so happy that you're with us today. Our next guest and our first guest here in the noon hour today is David Alexander, a street photographer. Is that the right term?
Yes.
It is. All right. Very good. David, welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right. So I've got a number of questions for you and different topics today. Number one, what exactly is street photography?
It's basically candid photography, primarily done out in public spaces. It's more of a journalistic type of photography. So
it's kind of like news shooting.
Definitely. Yeah.
Happening now.
Right. Documentary style.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And give us the brief history of street photography.
To my knowledge, it has its origins around the turn of the previous century. The one photographer that really comes to mind that stands out to me is a French photographer named Henri Cartier-Bresson. And he's very famous, has books out. There was a documentary done on him. And I get my inspiration from him. Yeah, very prolific.
Tell us a little bit about your style and what you think makes a very good image.
For me, my images have to speak for themselves. And my focus is not on faces or the person, the gender, the sex, the race, religion. None of that takes place. It's the activity that I focus on.
And we're looking at a picture here. I don't know if you can see that,
yeah.
But tell us more.
This was done on the Fulton Mall a number of years ago. This was shot on film, not digital. It was a family, father and his two kids. They just came out of the Chinese restaurant there. And they bought food, and the father is tying the bag of food to the handlebars on the bike. And so that's what I look for. You don't see the faces. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the activity. So that was my shot there.
And, there was another picture that you had shared recently on your Instagram that I saw, and that's how I found you today, or recently, and invited you on today. It was a picture of a guy, I think it was outside a Safeway or Vaughn's store.
Right.
And tell us more about that one. That was interesting.
The guy's name is Joe. I know him. He was passed out, and he was passed out because he walks everywhere. I see him all over town. When I'm out shooting, I've seen him Tower District, downtown, everywhere. He's everywhere, and he has to be tired from all his walking. He's a nice guy. He's kind of quiet. Most of the people that follow me on Instagram know who he is, the locals.
Sure.
So, and what I'd like to point out about that picture is that the picture was not to berate or make fun or put anybody on the spot. There is a brutality. There's an honest, brutally honest sense to a lot of my images. And it's just to showcase who we are in the community. Right. Yeah,
it's kind of taking the pulse of the city.
Real everyday life.
Right.
That's what I strive for.
And that's I think a big difference of street photography to staged photography.
Right. Big difference. Huge difference. Yeah.
And why did you choose street photography compared to something else?
I got my start with it back in the 80s. I lived in South America for a little while.
Oh.
And the opportunity was just ripe for it where I live. And it was just fascinating and fun and interactive. I was kind of a bit of a standout character down there, an American that spoke Spanish. And so the people were accepting of it. Hey, can I get your picture? Or a lot of, that type of thing. And it worked well.
What about some of the challenges to street photography here in Fresno and the Central Valley?
The biggest concern that I have is that it's impossible anywhere in the Central Valley to get lost in the crowd because there's no big crowd. So we all have cameras on our cell phones, And you can see people using them all the time, but the minute you strap a real camera around your neck and you walk out in public, you become a target. Every time I go out shooting, I get approached by at least one person. Sometimes for the good, sometimes not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Asking you, what are you doing?
Right, yeah. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been out shooting, and from out of nowhere, I hear, hey, he's got a camera. And it may just be hanging around my neck, you know? Yeah, crazy.
You are a target.
Yeah, definitely. So.
And so how many years total have you been really honing your craft?
Probably a good 30 years. Good 30 years, yeah.
And do you notice things have changed from back then to today?
There was an innocence to the images that I research and I look at online, the older images from decades past. There's an innocence, but there's still the reality of it. And the street photographers today, there's only one other one here in Fresno that I'm aware of that shoots anywhere near what I do, and his name is James Gathright. His images are a little softer than mine. He presents them in a more artistic manner, and he focuses on things like light and shadow, a little more detailed things that I don't. I just want to get the image. I want that brutal honesty. And for me to get it, I have to get up close, and a lot of times I do interact with people. I do talk to them. And with a lot of people, I actually get their permission. So
I want to, as we're talking about this, I was just thinking about a famous picture in New York City where it was, 5 or 10 guys back in the 1930s as they were putting up, I think it was the Empire State Building, or one of the skyscrapers there.
Right.
And they are sitting on the edge
of a beam.
Of the yeah,
I know which one you're talking about.
You know that one, yeah. I mean, that right there is another example of street photography, right? It's just this happened at this second,
right?
And there were no poses or stuff like that. It's just this is life.
I get some of the posing stuff. Like I said, I interact with the people. I don't just run and gun, as they call it. And some of my images come across as street portraits. There's a difference between a street portrait and street photography. So, but I do both.
Are you available for work?
Yes, I do portrait work. I didn't bring any examples of that today, but
well, we've got some stuff that we're looking at right here.
Right.
That looks like maybe it's from your Instagram, right?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a current one. That's
perfect.
That's Caleb.
Okay.
And he was an excellent model for shooting. He really enjoyed it. He liked the work, and in fact, so much that he's asked to be able to come up to Fresno and shoot up in Fresno in a couple of weeks.
Wow, so, awesome. And do you like doing black or white or color, or do you do a mix?
I prefer both.
Okay.
Street photography, I try to keep it with black and white. Some do color and black and white.
Okay.
But just taking it back to its roots, I prefer black and white. Yeah, it speaks more to me.
And David and I, we're going to do a shoot very, very soon.
Yes.
The question is, what should we do? So maybe we'll leave that to the viewers today. If you have an idea, hit me up on Instagram or hit David up.
I like that.
So,
let's let the viewers get in on it.
Yeah, very good, very
Definitely.
good. Okay, you're on Instagram at do1.alex02.
D01.alex02.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, very good. We've got about 30 seconds left. Anything else I missed? Anything else you want to talk about?
My contact information is on the Instagram page, telephone, email. If you're interested, shoot me a message. Let's get together and shoot.
And yeah, exactly. Shoot me a message, and David will shoot you.
There you go.
In a good way, not the bad way. All right.
Awesome.
Good to meet you.
Same here.
And I look forward to our session very, very soon.
Awesome. It's going to be great.
All right. I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. Again, if you have any suggestions on a nice little session we can do, maybe if you have a thought of where in the Central Valley, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Austin Reed Now, Austin Reed on Air. We'll be right back with another live local guest in just a bit.